This is your Wretched Recap for February 13th, 2026. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Zach, the Wretched Watchman, and welcome to the Wretched Recap for February 13th, 2026. And this is a quick hit show where we go over a few news topics, 5 or 6 different things that have happened over the past week that I think are worth mentioning and going over and making sure that everybody's aware of that we don't necessarily get to in the live stream podcasts. And so if you are not tuning in to those live stream podcasts, I highly suggest you do. We are live every Tuesday and Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We go over a ton of information. We take it from the avenue of just wanting to know what is really going on, figuring out the reality of the situation without any leanings, political leanings, or anything like that. That tend to skew what's going on. We just want to know the actual facts of what's happening. So make sure you guys tune in to those live streams if you're not. And let's just go ahead and see what's on the docket for today's recap. So coming up, we're going to be talking about the AI surgery injuries. There's a new lawsuit coming in regards to surgeries. Venezuela oil is now heading to Israel. We got the UK government court archive is now being ordered to be deleted. Altering history, you say? We got a $92 million Port-A-Potty expense. Yeah, we'll take a look at that, and we'll see how did Bondi's hearing going regarding the Epstein files and various other things. So we'll kind of take a peek in and see how that went. So yeah, first things first, let's go ahead and talk about the AI surgery injury, the lawsuits that are going on, shall we? And we got this. This is February 9th. It says AI powered surgery tool repeatedly injuring patients. Lawsuit claims the product was arguably if we can get through this, the product was arguably, I know how to say that word, but it's not going to come out right now, I guess, is safer before integrating changes in the software to incorporate artificial intelligence. If I can't say arguably, and this is going to be a long one. Artificial intelligence has taken the medical device industry by storm, even adding a layer of complexity to the operating room that's resulting in patients being hurt, some health professionals are claiming. As Reuters reported, the TrueDi TrueDi navigation system by device maker Acclarent was designed to treat chronic sinusitis, inflammation of the nasal sinuses, by inserting a tiny balloon to enlarge the sinus cavity openings. But ever since the company added AI to the device, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has received at least 100 unconfirmed 100 reports of malfunctions and adverse events, including at least 10 instances of patients being injured. Not sounding too great. While it's still unclear what role AI played in these instances, the resulting injuries can be grim, from the punctured base of a patient's skull to cerebrospinal fluid leaking from one another's nose. Per the reports, 2 victims who say that they've experienced strokes following their sinusplasties involving the TrueDi navigation system have since sued the device makers Acclarent, which has since been acquired by Integra Life Sciences. The product was arguably safer before integrating changes in the software to incorporate artificial intelligence than after the software modifications were implemented. So basically everything was running fine until you guys updated the system with AI. Now all of a sudden we're having problems. The second lawsuit was filed by Adana Varenho, whose cardioid artery allegedly blew, causing blood spray all over and resulting in her experiencing a stroke the same day. Now, there's a bunch more information. You guys can check out the court cases if you're interested. The details of what they're saying is happening. But we are getting into, if you guys haven't noticed, we're entering into I guess a valley, the hills and valleys, saying we're entering into a valley with AI. There's a lot of very negative things that are coming out, whether they're real, whether they're AI doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, whether it has to do with the financial system that we know appears to be in a bubble, contracts being closed out. There's a lot of fake scam stuff going on, like we talked about last week, the Molt book scam, which was entirely a sham program and run by actual human beings. It was nothing like people were reporting. So we're starting to see that there's definitely a down period for AI right now. Whether that's intentional, which we don't have time to get into why it would be intentional, but whether it's intentional, whether it's a lot of the shortcomings of AI are starting to come forth, we're starting to see that there is definitely a downward spiral right now. I still believe that somehow, some way, we don't know the future, but I believe that in some way, shape, or form, AI is going to be an integral part to building this system in the future, whether that's a stepping stone towards the beast system we know is coming, or whether it is actually a part of the beast system. I still do believe that AI was designed and built with nothing but actual spiritual mystery, religion, science behind it. I do believe that AI does have the ability and has been demonically possessed in various ways. And so I do believe that this is a part of it. Now, again, this could be something where we're seeing a downshift happening here that could lead back to another hill, or we could be seeing something right now where it's downshifting and then it's going to lay dormant, but behind the closed curtains, they're going to be using it to their advantage in the future. So we could have a giant conversation regarding all the ins and outs of why and how and all these things regarding AI, but we're not going to get into that. This is not the show for that. But either way, we have another situation here, more lawsuits coming against AI where it's malfunctioning, it's hurting people, it's not doing what it's intended to do, and we're starting to see a lot more of that happening right now. So definitely worth paying attention in regards to that. And if you're somebody who is lining up for some type of medical thing, I would be asking as many questions as possible regarding the tools that will be used, even if it's something in a doctor's office. If I'd be asking, does this have AI involved with it? And have a conversation, see if you can go the route of using an old school tool. So that's my suggestion in regards to that, if you are needing some type of medical help. Moving on to the next one, we got Venezuela oil is now heading to Israel. Venezuela oil gets shipped to Israel for first time in years. This is reported February 10th. Says traders are shipping Venezuela oil to Israel for the first time in years as the Latin American country exports open up following the capture of President Nicolas Maduro. The oil is being transported to Bazan Group, the Mediterranean country's top crude processor. The Trump administration said it would take over Venezuela's oil sales indefinitely after the capture of Maduro, because we were told, this is all about the drugs and stopping drugs and communism from getting into the country. Had nothing to do with that. Had nothing to do with it at all. We've covered this. We know that there's billionaire elite deals that are being made. Trump is trying to get as much credit for things as possible and opening up the door for that. We know that this was a trade that was done by Trump and Putin regarding Russia and the United States, and there's various other factors. Of course, we know Trump is possibly going to use this to try and overturn the 2020 election, saying Maduro was the one that conned him out of the election. So there's a lot of things in there. Everything that had to do with drugs and communism is completely false. So don't even fall for that. Since the Trump administration said it would take over Venezuela oil indefinitely and capture Maduro at the start of the year and trap traders to handle the initial sales. Israel doesn't advertise where it gets its crude oil from, and tankers have sometimes disappeared from digital tracking systems once they near the country's ports. This is how we know when it comes to, we use this as evidence on a Mount Everest stack of evidence that shows that many of these countries, which you are being told are at war with each other, actually collude to each other. And so they have to do things like shut off trackers and digital systems and stuff when the time comes, or alter names and everything like that. And we know Israel is right a part of that with the United States and Russia and China and India and Iran and so on and so forth. The list goes on and on. It says when the cargo arrives, it would mark the first shipment of its kind since mid-2020, when Israel took about 470,000 barrels. The deal is the latest sign of the removal of the Venezuelan President Maduro from office, is routing flows of the country's oil. Until then, much of the country's output was sold in China. In the last month, cargoes have been sold to buyers in India, Spain, the U.S., and now Israel. So again, the lie is about drugs and communism. It's completely false. There's many different reasons, one of them being the oil situation, which usually finds its way as one of the central pillars to war, of course. But yeah, so this is a situation where we just want to keep track of where the oil is going with Venezuela to the best of our ability. Obviously, there's a lot of sales happening that we are not being privy to. We are not privy to, but we do our best to keep tabs of this. We know that these groups, Russia and the United States and Israel, and these intelligence groups that are involved with them, we know that they play a major part with this stuff. So could one of the factors of Trump going into Venezuela, we know that there's a deal with Trump and Putin regarding that. Could Israel would Israel have been a part of that in order to unlock more oil sales for them? Possibly. We don't know for sure, but it's always something to keep in the back of our pockets. What we do know is the oil that comes from Venezuela is not your clean stuff. It is the crude, it is muddy, it is nasty, it is dirty, and it's mainly used for things like asphalt and building certain industrial parts and manufacturing and stuff like that. So this isn't your usual oil stuff. This is the dirty stuff meant for that. So just keeping an eye on what's going on with Venezuela and the oil. We also know that this is doing some damage to Cuba, and we know that that was also part of the deal as well, because it was confirmed by a Russian politician back in 2020. I can't remember the exact year, but he confirmed that Trump and Putin were going to make a deal regarding Venezuela, and then Cuba was next. And sure enough, they're strangling Cuba right now. So keep an eye on that. Next up, UK government court archive deletion. Oh, this is just great. This is fantastic. Let's keep everybody in the dark for nefarious reasons. This is 9th of February that this came out. Government orders deletion of UK's largest court reporting archive. It says the Ministry of Justice is ordering the deletion of a large archive of court records, raising concerns that the government is fleeing from transparency over failings in the justice system amid a string of murders and sex attacks by asylum seekers, or you could say illegal immigrants. It says Court's Desk, a data analysis company that supports media and campaigners in monitoring court records, has been ordered by the government to delete its archive, which provides a crucial tool for journalists covering the justice system. The project was approved by the Lord Chancellor in 2021 to explore how a national digital news feed of listings and registers can improve coverage of the courts by the news media by opening up magistrate court records. According to Court's Desk, the platform has since been used by more than 1,500 journalists from 39 media organizations, and the data provided have highlighted serious failures in the court's systems. You don't say. I wonder why they would want to delete this, cover their tracks. Because the entire system is being used to prove that they are lying, cheating, scummy filth of the earth that don't give a rip about their citizens and are trying to cover up for their own agendas. Man, sounds like every government ever in the history of ever. Last week, the government issued a final refusal, meaning the archive must now be deleted within days. But according to the Daily Skeptic, we get a little bit more insight on why. Reacting to the news, Daily Skeptic Associate Editor Laurie Wastel said, "We know that the British state always wants to bury the truth about the grim realities of multicultural Britain. Now, in the midst of an appalling series of murders and sex attacks by asylum seekers, the Ministry of Justice is ordering a major court reporting platform relied on by the journalists to delete much of its data. This stinks of yet another cover-up." Anybody shocked by this? I am not. I am not at all, because we got the same thing happening piece by piece, bit by bit here in the United States as well. They're trying to eliminate as much of the archives as they possibly can. They're doing the best they can. We've got more structure here when it comes to keeping that stuff alive, but they're definitely doing their part in order to delete it. But over here, the Ministry of Justice, it's always 1984 whenever I hear that. They're doing their best in order to not only protect themselves from their own failings that are being pointed out by these journalists and organizations, but they're also doing it in order to cover up for their wonderful asylum-seeking, illegal immigrant, rapist pals coming from all various different countries, including the Middle East and Africa, coming over and absolutely destroying their city. But don't worry, I have been told that because Britain has taxable free healthcare, free, quote unquote, free healthcare, and no guns, that they're better off than the United States. That's what I've been told. How's that working out for you now? But yeah, we know that's going on. I do believe there was a comment on this that sums it up. Yeah. I don't know who this guy is, but it says, as Winston explained to Julia, speaking of 1984, every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book has been rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street and building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And that process is continuing day to day, day by day, and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right. And I don't care if you're in the UK. I don't care if you're in any of the countries in Europe. I don't care if you're in the United States. I don't care if you're in Australia. I don't care if you're in Russia. I don't care if you're in China. I don't care if you're in any of those countries. The fact is those words are true. The reason why they're true is because they're written by a man who helped develop the entire system that you're seeing right now. Remember, George Orwell was a part of the elite group. He did not write 1984 as a warning. He wrote it as a manual. And that's why we're seeing the pages come to life. He wasn't a prophet. He didn't have some warning for us that he knew about in regards to that. No, he was a part of the very people who were designing this. And so if you're over there in the UK, things are getting a whole lot worse for you when it comes to knowing what on earth is actually going on. Don't worry. Us here in the United States, we're not too far behind. We're not too far behind. Moving on, let's take a look at this $92 million Port-A-Potty, shall we? Because that's always fun. It says Florida emergency ran up $405 million immigration tab in 6 months. This is the state of Florida, spending like the federal government themselves. Records show thousands spent on jet flights, restaurant meals, and around Tallahassee. This was reported February 10th. Says Florida's emergency managers spent more than $405 million in taxpayer dollars in 6 months to fight illegal immigration, but that doesn't just include law enforcement. State spending records show it covers private jet flights, restaurant meals, and badges. I'm not sure if I'm reading something regarding the state of Florida with immigration or if I'm reading something regarding the spending habits of Hillsong and Bethel churches. It says this means 70% of the state's total immigration spending in 4 years. 70% of the state's total immigration spending in 4 years occurred in the past 6 months. The disclosure comes as officials continue to insist Florida will be reimbursed hundreds of millions of dollars by the federal government, a promise federal authorities have cast serious doubt upon. That figures include expenditures like $475,000 to one private jet firm for staff flights to and from the so-called Alligator Alcatraz, which, by the way, there's still several thousand people missing from that. They have no idea where they went. Knowing the fact that many Border Patrol and ICE agents are actually being used to traffic humans, including children, I can only guess where those people are at. Yes, these are the best of the best to protect us. And they're the ones that are helping traffic people. And that's flights to and from that detention center, as well as support evacuations of Americans during the Israel-Hamas war. Thousands spent on 55 restaurants and a $203 purchase at Awards for You, a company that lets customers create their own badges, trophies, and awards. The fund also paid more than $92 million to a single portable restroom company and nearly $30,000 on rental cars. This is your money, Florida. Yeah, in a statement provided to the Phoenix, FDEM says that the food expenditures were for staff activated at the Emergency Operations Center, EOC, in Tallahassee, and Awards for You was for name badges. Yeah, because that totally justifies it. The state has hoped to be reimbursed for most of those costs with a $608 million federal grant, although the feds have claimed that they never promised to repay the state, which means you're on the hook. Great stuff, isn't it? It goes on to say, among the more notable expenses was $156,000 categorized as food products between August and February. That category includes payments to at least 55 restaurants, many of who are in the Tallahassee area on the emergency funds dime. This doesn't count charges under the section made at the Vitamin Shop, Walmart, Wawa, Home Depot, or even the Tractor Supply Co. On August 13th, September 3rd, and October 8th, 3 payments totaling $2,170 were made to Pedro's Tacos and Tequila Bar, a Mexican restaurant chain in the Southeast. Anybody find it fascinating that these are the same people that are supposed to be getting rid of illegal immigration, and what are they doing? They're eating at the very same restaurants of the people that they're trying to export out of here. Does anybody find that ironic? I'm just curious. It's fascinating. On August 13th, by the way, there's several reports out there of ICE agents going into a Mexican restaurant, eating lunch, and then immediately arresting and deporting the very people that work there. I kid you not. Go look it up. Several reports out there. On August 13th, October 7th, and October 27th, 3 payments totaling roughly $2,000 were made to Bumpa's Sports Bar in Tallahassee. Man, this is needed expenditures right here. On October 8th and October 27th, 2 payments totaling $1,300 were made to Liberty Bar and Restaurant in a Tallahassee spot. Amazon Marketplace, meanwhile, saw more than $10,000 worth of transactions in this section, while Sam's Club, a members-only retailer, had more than $20,000 in payments. FDM spent, my word, almost $19,000 there on August 13th for mosquito and insect protection. That was at Shannon's Outdoor. $19,000 for mosquito protection. That stuff better be like lifetime lasting. A total of $479,000 to TLC Jet Service, a Fort Lauderdale private jet company. A $203 purchase at Awards for You on December 2nd, listed under their supplies section. A $1.1 million to the Democratic tied law firm Boyes, Schiller, and Flexner on December 31st, a high-profile crisis management law firm that represents Amazon, Facebook, Oracle, Apple, and Sony. What on earth is that for? This is nearly $380 million of the $405 million shelled out since August went to contractors. Several of these vendors have ties to DeSantis administration or the Republican Party of Florida. This includes $20.7 million to the Texas Disaster Response Company Gotham's LLC. That better be $20 million to hire Batman to fight immigration. $9.2 million for the security service firm Garda World, and more than $25.5 million for 3 affiliates of CDR, an emergency management agency headed up by married GOP donors Carlos Duarte and Tina Vidal Duarte. Vidal Duarte last week was confirmed to be the FAU Board of Trustees. You just can't make this up. Government sucks, man. And there's still people out there, including Christians, that will fight you to the death in order to protect their party that doesn't give a rip about them. The Prices contract belongs to the Port-A-Potty company Duty Calls. Since September, 9 payments have been made totaling almost $93 million. 93 million. Again, better be gold-plated and free toilet paper. Additional payments include $403,000 on a mail security scanner, $27,000 spent on Avis car rentals, $11,000 to wildlife and pest control specialists, and almost $1,500 to a manufacturer of pocket badges. Travel costs total $145,000 for in-state lodging, $253,000 for out-of-state airfare, and $213,000 for foreign airfare, including $2,500 paid to Spirit Airline Charitable Foundation. Hey, don't worry though. They took $2,500 of your money, which they just stole from you, in order to give it to Spirit Airlines charity. So that should make you feel better about spending $93 million on a Port-A-Potty company. Yeah, Remember, this is the one that, again, we're getting the most transparency. We're getting, we're supposed to be getting the debt down. We're supposed to be fixing all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. And all I'm seeing is a crap ton, pun included, intended, of money going towards things that are absolutely absurd. So people can live it up while they're telling you that they're fighting an immigration problem, which was created, and they are not actually fixing, and they are using that under the cover of building an entire prison state in this country to use against United States Americans when the time comes. So hopefully that makes you feel better. I remember that not too long ago, there was a period of time where there was 3 states that were still kind of standing in regards to probably the best places to live in the United States. One of them being Florida, of course, Texas and Tennessee were being the other ones. Well, Texas and Florida have fallen so far into the corrupt pot of stew that it's fully blended in at this point, and Tennessee's really not that far behind them. So we're at a point now where it doesn't really matter what state you're in. It's all going down. And you know what? This world goes down, God comes and gets his church, and we go up. Praise the Lord for that. Last but not least, we're going to finish off and just we're gonna take a look. How'd Bondi's hearing go? You know, just let's see how this went, and we're just going to go ahead and let Pam Bondi tell us how this hearing went. I bet it was riveting. I bet everything was nice and subtle. Everybody was respectful to each other, and I'm sure a lot of questions were accurately and genuinely answered. Let's find out.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Not a complicated question.
Well, I guess it is for you because you have a law degree and those are privileged. Do you even know who Chase Mulligan is? You're so obsessed with, you don't, do you?
I'm going to teach you the rules again.
Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? Nothing about helping crime in her district. She's not even worth getting into the details. Excuse me, I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No, and I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Arlen,
you don't get to reclaim time when you don't.
Bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
Over.
Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify.
Well, I guess it went rather well then. We'll just go ahead and leave it right there. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me on this week's Wretched Recap. Appreciate you guys. Again, if you're not tuning into the live streams, make sure you join us every Tuesday and Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are live streaming. We go over a ton of information. We cover as much stuff as we possibly can, just trying to figure out what is actually going on. It's a project. Tune in. It's good stuff. And we always point to Jesus. Most important part. So thank you guys for joining me. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm Zach, the Wretched Watchman. Catch you guys next time. Peace out. Maranatha.